No one could really be surprised when the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power showrunners for Amazon Prime Video came out once again and attacked fans. The third time they've done something like this. They did it after the backlash to the trailer to try to set the narrative that if you don't like this, it's just because you're a racist. And then of course, when the show actually came out and people saw that it was worse than anyone thought possible, they came out once again and tried to say, well, those fans, the people that don't like it, they're just bigots, they're just racists out there. And now yet again, after episode 6, a big mainstream media hit piece against the fans. Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power showrunner accuses the show's critics of being patently evil. So the question was, why now? Every time they've done it, it's out of panic. It's out of trying to do damage control because it's going so poorly for them. Well, it may be that we found the reason why. Amazon reportedly shitting their pants over House of the Dragon's success. House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power are two hugely expensive, high-profile fantasy TV shows airing at the same time, the former on HBO and HBO Max, and the latter on Amazon Prime Video. They're very different shows, and it may not be fair to compare them, but it was always going to happen. It's pretty fair to compare them. They are both big budget fantasy shows. They're coming out at nearly the exact same time, obviously on different days, but in the same time period. And of course, they're both prequels to something. Obviously, House of the Dragon is a prequel to Game of Thrones, and we have Rings of Power, which is a supposed prequel to Lord of the Rings, but everybody knows this has nothing to do with Tolkien's world and nothing to do with Middle-earth or Lord of the Rings. But that's why it's reasonable to compare them. And in fact, House of the Dragon waited to set their premiere until they found out what Rings of Power was, because they're more than happy to go toe-to-toe with Rings of Power. Rings of Power and Amazon, not so much. They've been scared of it from the beginning, and now looking at the results, they're freaking out. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they had to come out there and do damage control for their garbage show. According to one insider, executives at Amazon compared the two shows as well, and were particularly alarmed after House of the Dragon not only got strong ratings out of the gate, but got better ratings for its second episode a week later, which is unusual in the industry. It was never about the critics, it's all about the consumers, the insider said. All Jeff Bezos cares about is consumer obsession. If you look at the history of Amazon, every division lived and died based on that. House of the Dragon matters because all of a sudden there's a benchmark. It's their closest comp to success. When they saw Dragon grew in its second episode and brought in 20 million viewers, they were shitting their pants. So maybe that is part of the reason that they had to come out with this statement, that they had to come out once again and attack the fan base, try to label the fan base something to try to set a specific narrative. Because of course we did get these numbers last week. Rings of Power debuts at #1 on the streaming chart. And of course that was the headline. But if you read a little bit closer, you'd realize that House of the Dragon was still winning. Nielsen Reach figures, a measure of people who watch at least 6 minutes of a given program, for House of the Dragon, Rings of Power are similar. Rings of Power holds the edge in specifically streaming with 12.6 million people. However, when you add in the linear viewing, because of course this comes out on HBO at the same time that it actually gets released on the streaming service, it's 14.5 million for House of the Dragon. And the reason that Amazon was worried about those numbers going up is because they know that's not happening to them. Take a look at the new Nielsen numbers that just came out. We're gonna dig more into these, but initially, I wanna react to this because this is fucking huge. Now, of course, Cobra Kai, massive, massive. This is not from like last week or anything. Nielsen ratings are the standard in the industry, but they do take a while to collect. This is the week of September 5th through the 11th. So it's when the third episode of Rings of Power came out for Amazon, and you do get just barely 3 hours of when House of the Dragon released on HBO Max. But look at these numbers right now. Cobra Kai dominates. Thor Love and Thunder comes in. It got released on Disney Plus as well. Then you have Devil in Ohio on Netflix. But look at this. Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, 1,203, went down from last week despite having another episode available. What about House of the Dragon? A massive jump up to over 1,000 million minutes viewed. This is why Amazon was worried, because not only were they actually losing to House of the Dragon, House of the Dragon is only gaining more steam. So when you factor in that 20 to 30% of people are watching on HBO, It just makes that gap even bigger of the people who are actually watching House of the Dragon compared to Rings of Power. I can show you the difference that we have between these last year. This is over on Forbes. House of the Dragon, Rings of Power are more closely aligned this week. Lord of the Rings prequel notched 1.203 billion minutes, down 4% from the week prior, even though they had another episode that people could have watched more available, as opposed to House of Dragon, which is gained each and every week. And a big jump up this week. Game of Thrones prequel earned 1.016 billion minutes, up 30% from last week. So not only last week did House of Dragon actually win, but they've nearly equaled the ground just on streaming alone with Rings of Power. You add in those linear viewers on HBO Max or people that watch it on DVR on demand, like whatever. Oh my God, they're getting freaking dominated right now. This is the reason Amazon is worried. This is the reason they're coming out. This is the reason they've attacking the fans. This is the reason they're making excuses for this shit. Because they know they can't stack up to the competition. They have been freaking out, shitting their pants over what House of the Dragon is doing because that is their direct competition. They are comparing themselves to that. Because if they can't beat that, what the fuck are they doing? Their project cost 2.5 times what House of the Dragon cost. I think the House of the Dragon season are like $200 million or something like that. I believe that's around the budget we're looking at. For Amazon, it's almost $500 million for the first season. Are you kidding me? And that doesn't even include the $250 million they paid just to get the rights. This is why they're panicking every time they do this. It's because they're doing damage control of some sort. Well, now it looks like we might know the reason why. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.